Welcome to Beaches Watch, our July community meeting, one that is one of our more popular meetings because we get to hear from our men and women in blue that serve us in the beaches communities, Jax Beach, Neptune Beach, and Atlantic Beach. So we'll get to hear from them after I make a few announcements to give us an update on the 4th of July, what's been going on in the community, and what we can do as citizens to help support our police departments. My name is Maria Mark. I'm the president of Beaches Watch, and I'll be hosting the meeting tonight. As always, we videotape our meetings for those who cannot make the meeting, so we ask that you share our link with your friends and neighbors who are not able to make it. So we will go ahead and start. So we're always, looking for new members or members to rejoin. It goes to support our meetings like this, our candidate forums, our scholarship for Fletcher High School seniors, $1,000 scholarship, our Give Back Award. So we ask that you consider joining or renewing. It's $15 for individual, $20 for family, and we have a $5 student membership. They are valid January through December, and so you can either join or renew. Our ladies back here at the sign-in table, we're glad to take your money tonight, or you can go online on our website. We'll go ahead and recognize our elected officials. We do appreciate them coming and participating. We have Carrie Chen, who is on the Neptune Beach City Council. Lauren Key, who is also on the Neptune Beach City Council. We have Chris Hoffman, Mayor of Jacksonville Beach. And we have Sandy Golding, who is on the City of Jacksonville Beach City Council. Did I miss anybody? No? Okay, good. Well, thank you. Welcome. Appreciate you being here. I'm just going to go through some of the upcoming meetings. We will have these posted on our website, so you can go back and check out the dates and times for these particular meetings. Jacksonville Beach will be holding a joint City Council and CRA meeting that will be held on Monday, July 24th at 5:30. That will be in the City Hall training room. The CRA has requested a joint workshop with City Council to discuss their role in implementing the redevelopment district plans. Atlantic Beach, we have our ongoing Charter Review Committee meetings. The next one is scheduled for Wednesday, June 28th at 6 p.m. That will be held in our commission chambers. And it looks like they're doing this on the fourth Wednesday of each month. Atlantic Beach meet and greet. We are looking for a new city manager. So you will get to meet the candidates. That's being held on Friday, July 28th from 5:30 to 7:30. That will be in the chambers as well. The interviews for our Atlantic Beach City Manager candidates will be held on Saturday, July 29th at 10 a.m. and that will be in the chambers as well. Atlantic Beach is really busy. We have Atlantic Beach City Commission special meeting that's going to be held on Monday, July 31st at 6 p.m. That will be in the chambers, and that will to discuss the city manager candidates. It's budget time now, so the beaches will be holding their budget workshops. Atlantic Beach is scheduled to hold their meetings July 25th, August 7th, August 24th, if necessary. Then the first of two public hearings will be held on September 11th, and then the second of two and the votes on the budget will be held September 25th. Jacksonville Beach budget workshops. This will be held in the City Hall training room. They will be Friday, July 28th from 2 to 4. Monday, July 31st from 4 to 6. Tuesday, August 1st, 5 to 7. And Monday, August 7th from 4 to 6. Save the date. We are meeting coming up in August. We will have our City of Jacksonville at-large council members. This is really important because I'm not sure how many of our beaches residents realize that we do have representation other than our District 13 representative, Rory Diamond. The City of the at-large council members. They actually represent all of Jacksonville, including the beaches. So it's really important that we get to know them, they get to know us. So they will be here, it'll be a town hall. So we have confirmed Council President Ron Salem, Matt Carlucci, Terrence Freeman, Nick Howland, Chris Miller, and that will be here at the library. So make sure you mark that date. That's Wednesday, August 7th at 7 p.m. Okay, now on to our speakers for tonight. We will start with Chief Jean-Paul Smith from Jacksonville Beach, and we will follow up with Atlantic Beach. We're supposed to do this like geographically, but there was a special request and we had to accommodate the special request.
South to north instead of north to south.
So we will then have Commander Michael Key, but you're still interim chief, correct? Since Chief Pike was approved as city manager for Neptune Beach. So Commander Key from Neptune Beach, and then our two from Atlantic Beach, Commander Tiffany Layson and Commander David Cameron. Okay? Is that right? Did I say that right? Okay. So we'll also have Q&A after the presentation, so if you will hold your questions until then, and we will go ahead and start with Chief Smith.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, everybody. How are y'all tonight? Thank you for coming and taking interest in the community and the police departments. It's a pleasure to be here. It seems like we just did this. I mean, the years are flying by. I've been the chief now for almost 50 years. You know, in some ways it seems like it was just yesterday. In some ways it seems like it was 30 years ago. I'm just going to take you through this presentation in about 15 minutes. We'll hold questions to the end, like our host said. Real quick a little bit about our agency. We have 70 sworn officers. We answered 65,000 calls for service last year as phone calls, and we answered 90,000 officer responses. And officer responses, if multiple officers go to one call, we will count each one as a response, because if you're sending 10 officers every night to a bar, it shouldn't count at one time. It should count 10 times, because it's taking our resources. So we do that with about 40 patrol officers. So we are extremely busy. Just real quick, I think y'all know me by now. I'm a lawnmower guy with the events of the last 2 or 3 years, especially since the Summer of Love in 2019, 2020, like it was quoted. We took the tact, and I was backed up by my council and my manager, that we want you to come here, we want you to live here, we want you to visit here, but don't come and break the law, or hurt my citizens, or steal from my citizens. We're going to find them, we're going to put you in jail, and everybody from my administration to the state attorney, Melissa Nelson, will back us up on that. If y'all remember, we had quite a few protests in 2020, and I took a pretty aggressive stand that we'll want you to come, we want you to exercise your First Amendment right, but we're not going to go for anything broken, burned, or stolen, or anybody hurt. It's not going to happen. So that's kind of how the tack we took, and as long as I'm chief, that's what's going to happen in Jacksonville Beach. We want you to come, we want you to enjoy yourself, to all the schools and what's going on, all the drugs that country is not going to happen in the city, as long as I'm the chief, and I have the current administration in place. So I was passed on to me, what were our successes and challenges for the last year? I think, of course, one of our successes is, and it's not completed yet, it's close to Friday, that happened in our city within 2 years now.
Yeah.
Better?
Yes.
Okay, it's Friday homicide. It's been 2 years now, and we're still not done. I think you all know we're looking for another suspect, and we're trying to prove it now. We have 2 suspects in jail. There's very difficult and challenging case work, the hardest homicide I've ever been a part of. And it's very rewarding. We've gone very close to the victim's family, and we should be wrapping up hopefully soon. We're all familiar with it. The next is our success, and I'll go into this a little bit in subsequent slides, is our gangs, gun, and drug approach as far as suppression. We're seeing a lot of traffic come across the bridge, a lot of criminals, a lot of guns, a lot of drugs. So when I took over, we didn't want to, as an administration, say, remember the good old days of Jack's Beach when we had some homeless, a few violent crimes, and thefts. We don't want to look back and say, now we're like Miami Beach or any other communities experiencing a spike in violent crime. I think we suppress it, and I'll explain how shortly, but I place this as my top priority. Because don't forget, folks, 10 miles up the road, right over the bridge, is where all the homicides are occurring, and Duval County is the murder capital per capita in Florida. It's occurring 8 to 10 miles away. And we were seeing some of that traffic come across the bridge a few years ago, so I think we suppressed that. Our special events, well, everything from Orange Crush to July 4th, the Blues Festival, we are very adept at doing special events. Their departments, 2 to 3 times our size, they're having to handle these special events. We do with only 70 people, and it's quite an undertaking, our special events. They've all been successful and incident-free. The retention of quality personnel. We've basically been full for the last 5 years. The turnover has stopped. We've retained a lot of quality personnel, and I think we're all going to talk about recruiting and retention, the challenges that exist today in all of our departments, in fact, all over the country. But that's what's going well. What's getting challenging is the recruiting aspect. We'll cover that in a slide coming up. Maintaining service levels. We're busier, we're getting busier, they're building up the beaches more, we're getting more calls for service. It takes more time to do even the basic paperwork. Everything is more in depth than it was 10, 12 years ago. Even a DUI arrest, it takes longer. So the challenge is to maintain our level of service. Everybody always asks me, do you need more policemen? Well, that's not the question. The question is, are you willing to, do you want to maintain your level of service? Do you want to decrease? Do you want to increase? Because with that comes the cost. So I put the question right back on you. To maintain the level of service, we're going to get really close to not being able to maintain the level of service. For instance, I could do this job as a chief of police in Jacksonville Beach with 30 officers. You're not going to like the service. I can do it with 150 officers. You're not going to like the bill. So you have to decide what you're willing to pay and what you're willing to put up with as far as getting a call back on a traffic complaint. Do you want to call back that day, or do you want it 2 weeks from now? And that's really what the citizens and the council need to reflect on what they want, and I can provide the service. So that is a challenge, I think, for all of us. And rising costs. Everything is more expensive, from the cost of a policeman or a dispatcher. A new police car is $60,000 now. I can't believe it. And it's still going up. The ammunition, the gas, everything's more expensive. So that is a struggle for a challenge for us. So real quick, guns, gangs, and drugs. That was the first thing I tell you we talked about. That was a major. That is my #1 goal. To detect illegal guns, criminal shoot gangs, and illegal drugs. There's really no gangs at the beaches, but we do have a large influx coming from Jacksonville. And they are real, true blue gang members, and they are very violent, and they're very young, and they're getting younger. And there's Mayor Hoffman, what's our favorite video?
Young and Ace.
Young and Ace, and the thug.
Fully up.
Yeah, the thugs in Jacksonville. It's called something on YouTube. I'll get you, but it's like a 2-hour special. And you really don't realize what's going on in some of those zip codes down there. There are some real hardcore gang members down there. And we used to catch them out here 5, 10 years ago, and we think we moved them on to other pastures and not us. Drugs at the beaches, it's it's really their users and their transporters. Every time we get a complaint at a drug house, it's usually a dealer user or maybe a mid-level guy. There's no kingpin as far as I know here. But, wherever there's drugs, you're going to see a higher frequency of index crime, which is rape, robbery, murder. Rape, robbery, murder, along those lines. Because with the drugs come the index crime, burglaries, thefts, you're going to see the increase. So let's talk about what we're in Jacksonville Beach. 1,500 arrests, 90% of the citizens that we arrest come from where? Inside Jacksonville Beach or outside? Outside. 90% come from outside. I got 4 bridges, and there's only one way to get out of here, probably in a vehicle, and probably over one of those bridges. So we do a lot of traffic stops and a lot of suspicious person stops. Basically, that does a couple different things. It gives an omnipresence. So when someone comes over the bridge and they want to break the law, they're like, there's a policeman everywhere. I'm not going to try this. Second thing is it increases safety on the roadways, which the main goal of any traffic program is to reduce injury roadway crashes. It's not about tickets or anything else. It's to reduce those injury roadway crashes. So it slows everybody down. And last but not least, we are getting a lot of guns. Since October of 2019, we have taken 572 legal firearms in our city. We were approached by alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, matter of fact, and said, y'all see Jacksonville Beach more guns than any jurisdiction other than Jacksonville Sheriff's Office in Northeast Florida. We'd like you to join that task force. I have 3 detectives that are cross-sworn as federal agents on ATF task force. So we were taking a lot of guns off the streets. And all you have to do is look on our Facebook pages, because all you see is guns every other day. Which I think, in turn, I can't take all the credit for our agency, but there's been less critical incidents downtown. There's certainly been less fights, less robberies, less shootings. The weekends, for instance, I sent the mayor a statistic. 10 years ago, on 4th of July, we made 70 arrests somewhere in that area. This time we made like 80. And we had no critical incidents. No shootings, no rapes, no robberies. So I think word's getting out. Matter of fact, we have some intelligence. I'm not even sure how we got it. But there's chatter on social media that says, don't go out to Jack's Beach because you're very strict out there. You screw up out there, they're going to put you in jail. I got that. We have some intelligence that we got recently with Orange Crush coming in. We generate some of these people talking back and forth. So I think downtown has calmed down. If you think about 10 years ago in downtown Jack's Beach, it was pretty rough. I was there. But we're really proud of all the work we did to secure downtown Jack's Beach. And the most important thing is we keep it up. We have to do that maintenance because it can go back the other way very quickly. And the word's getting out. We already talked about that. How do large events put a demand on us? Well, it's not just people show up for the air show. If you ever saw the planning behind that, it takes months and months and months. For security, bomb sweeps, and blues festival, any festival. Because it's not just about crowds showing up and us arresting intoxicated persons. It's about active violence incidents. It's about crowd disturbances. It's about large fights. It's about keeping everybody safe. So they really tax us on these large events, any large event, as an agency. Because don't forget, I have to put 20 officers down at this event, but I still have to conduct business throughout the rest of the city. So the mayor and some of the council see that as far as pressure planning is months and months in the process. So that's the demand it puts on us from a manpower standpoint. Hiring and retention. We've had to be innovative because if we still keep doing things the old way, we're going to go the way of the dinosaur. We have to go out there and get these applicants and be aggressive with them. We do all of our processing, 3/4 of it in one day. And we can complete the whole process in 2 or 3 months, where when I got hired, it took 8 months to complete the process. And if you leave a good candidate out there for 8 months, they're going to be going to another agency. They're scooping people up. As you know, nationwide, employees on the job market, no one wants to be a police anymore. We're getting 1 to 2 applicants where we get 30 or 40 on an it's an employee's market. There's no one left. They asked me how do we recruit more officers. For instance, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office is 100 officers short. There probably isn't 100 viable candidates left in the state of Florida. So the only thing we have left to do is professionally steal from other agencies, and that takes money. There is nobody left that's viable. We're seeing it. I think the other two departments will agree. And everybody talks about more policemen. I just want you to keep in mind dispatchers and corrections officers. I'm not a dispatcher, I'm not a corrections officer. Everybody says we want more police, but if we run out of corrections officers and dispatchers, the whole system is going to collapse. So you see the pay and recruiting going up to them also. Preparation for mass violence incidents. We do a lot of training. The training begins with the family, with our employees, with our city employees, with our officers. Also on the weekends, y'all probably don't know, and it's probably not a big secret right now, I'm running a QRF. I'll explain what that is. Every weekend there's over 5,000 people in our downtown area. That QRF is a quick reaction team. They're kitted up, they're ready to go, they roll heavy, they have long guns, and they're ready to respond, just like DSO is to any big incidents we have in our city and in downtown Jacksonville, DSO. If you look at, all you have to do is Google entertainment zone shooting, and you'll get 20 pages on Google with all those entertainment zones where there's been mass shootings. So we're ready to respond to that every weekend in crowd control. We're just going to see it, and we're going to keep it that way. You don't have to see it. And that's a QRF and large events. How can you support us? Well, support us. Keep supporting us. This is the best community beach. I'm not paying to y'all. Keep supporting. Volunteer. All of our agencies have volunteer programs. We have a Citizens Police Academy. And you got to understand how things are skewed on social media. Don't believe everything you read, hear, or see online. Matter of fact, don't believe any of it. Get the facts, get informed information, and make a decision. And just understand the way things are. Everything's expensive. I want to add 20 cops. Well, that's $2 million. By the time you get done with cars, uniforms, hiring, if we can find 20. So it's not that easy, and it's expensive. Running a police department is expensive. So y'all, that's that. Class 49 of Citizens Police Academy. I'm going to push that and still want me to push it. We do 2 a year for almost 25 years. It's on the website, Facebook, and there's contact information for Sergeant Cater. We start the next class on August the 24th this year, so please, it'll be the best thing you've ever done. Any CBA grads in here? Raise your hand. Will y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
Good program. So that's it. 15 minutes.
Thank you, Chief Smith. I do realize that my order is wrong. Because I think Neptune Beach want to go last. So we'll hear from our finest in Atlantic Beach. Because you guys have PowerPoint, so we will. Thank you.
Thank you. We were going to do a PowerPoint, but then I was told about Commander Key's PowerPoints, and I knew I couldn't do that. So. I'm Tiffany Layson. I'm a commander, one of the 2 commanders at Atlantic Beach Police Department, and with me is Commander David Cameron. Okay. Chief Galil is unable to be with us today. He had something scheduled prior. So you get us. We're going to talk about our agency and kind of answer the same questions. I think we were all given the same questions. So for Atlantic Beach, the successes and challenges for the past year. One of our major challenges in Atlantic Beach is parking. And it's always been a challenge. I think it is for all the beaches. Last year we expanded our paid parking program and put paid parking kiosks on 18th and 19th Street. We've hired a part-time parking enforcement officer who I think might or might not be here. Did you want to come up and give a presentation? Honestly, we've got the paid parking at Town Center, and there's only so much space, there's only so many parking spots, and Commander Cameron and I were talking about it earlier today. The paid parking doesn't minimize the parking at all. People are gonna pay it to park there. It's always been that way. It's if you get there first, you know, you gotta come to the beach early or hope to find someone who's leaving. But that's always been a problem, so people park illegally, people block people's driveways, you know, fire hydrants, intersections, things like that. And the other biggest challenge that we've had has been recruitment and retention, which I'll go into further, and just staying competitive with all the other agencies as far as pay and benefits packages. We've done really good at staying competitive with our pay. Our officers have good union representation and they've got a step plan so they know they can look out in advance and tell what they're going to be making each year and what their raises are going to be. That is something that is negotiated with the union and the city, so it's usually a 3-year contract, so they know at least 3 years what's been approved for their step plan. Our officers are starting at about $52,000 right now. We were the highest, but I know the other surrounding agencies are bumping up too, and it's just kind of this cat and mouse game of who's going to pay an extra dollar. Like Chief Smith said, right now it's definitely the employee's market. I mean, someone who's certified to be a police officer can go anywhere. Everyone's hiring. We're all looking for police officers certified. Now we've even extended our program. We're hiring uncertified officers and sending them to the academy. It's a big upfront investment for us. To hire someone and pay them a salary and pay for the academy costs us about $25,000 for the 6 months. That's before they even start our in-house training program. So there's no guarantee they're going to make it through the academy. There's no guarantee they're going to make it through our field training program. But it's one of those things that we've got to put the money up front to try to get them to commit to our agency. Echoing what Chief Smith said, that it's just not a popular career anymore. You know, the media doesn't hype it up. You know, probably when most of us were kids, the police were heroes, right? You couldn't wait to meet a policeman. We're very lucky in Atlantic Beach. Our citizens are still like that. We still have tons of kids that run up to us and, you know, want to say nice things to us. But overall, it's not a popular career. And as the pay goes up in the civilian sector for other jobs, you know, you can work somewhere like Target and make almost as much as you're going to make being a police officer. You know, we read in the media about all the stories of police officers getting hurt, being targeted, things like that. It just makes it harder and harder. So we're up against a lot of obstacles. We currently have 6 sworn openings. We have 2 people that we've already hired and we're putting through the next academy, so they won't be done until mid-December. Last year we hired 7 full-time officers and 6 full-time civilian positions. We're trying to be innovative, come up with other ways to recruit people. For some of you who may have seen, we wrapped a car, like a recruiting car, and kind of made it flashy and gaudy so people would notice it. You know, putting ads places, on social media, you can kind of target certain areas, targeting people who live up north who may be wanting to move to the south.
Beaches.
So I'd like to say I don't think we have stolen anybody, however, some other agencies have.
Not help, your security is not competition.
No, really, all 3 beaches work very well together. We've all always been there to help each other when we're, you know, the different events and when somebody's short or anything. So I'm just teasing them. We all do great together. But trying to find innovative recruiting tactics has proven to be really challenging in this town. We are slotted for 32 full-time officers and 1 part-time officer. And like I said, 6 of those are open right now. Would you follow up on a couple things?
Sure. So my name is David Cameron. I'm over operations, community initiatives, and emergency management. So the beaches is really home to me because I actually grew up here since I was 6. I know, I look way younger than I really am. But I love the beaches. Went to Fletcher, ran from Gene Pole all the time. Back in the 40s. This is my home, so I take it to heart. As far as operations, echoing Chief Smith's comments, Orange Crush for us, grateful it was a non-event for Atlantic Beach. July 4th, again, non-event. And some other bigger events that we struggle with is because we are a smaller agency, the Jackson Beach is the Donner one, but again, we pulled that off with no issues. And Memorial and Labor Day, again, no issues. We tend to strive to try to keep parking down. That's our biggest challenge, besides traffic. So as far as big events, we're looking pretty good in Lang Beach. Some of the preparations that we've done for mass shootings that Chief Smith hit on, we do the same thing. We have a special response team that does training year-round. For over 10 years, we've been doing training in mass shootings, starting out with the Lang Beach Elementary. We didn't go shoot it up, we just went in there and trained, so we know how to respond to it, tactics in response. In the last 6 years, though, we've gone out to a facility over at Cecil Field, and we've actually gone more in depth with other agencies, Jacksonville Fire Rescue, and we actually went further with our response than we did, not only tactics, but communications, then the biggest part, which is managing the incident after the occurrence. That's the biggest part. Everybody wants to know if their kids are safe or whatever that type of incident is, if it's out of school or out of business. So we did a lot of training over the last 6 years, and we continue on. We have another one coming up in November, as a matter of fact. So we stay up on all of that current best practices for training for those type of events. How citizens can support our police department? We have a great city, and we have a great program for volunteers, just as Jack Beach has. I love our volunteers. We started about 5 years ago, and they help out with so much that we would probably be here for a couple more hours, as I explained what they do. But they help out with events, parking, traffic control. If we have major events, such as a few weeks ago, we had a major traffic crash on Mayport. Several of them came out, and they helped direct traffic away from the site. That way people weren't all congested in that area. So we have 23 volunteers, and so if you're interested, I can get you the information for it. It's also on our website, but we have a great volunteer program. We have a lot of community events, a lot of ways that people can help us out. Come to the events. Not only meet the officers, but meet your fellow citizens and residents. One that we do is a community career day. Come out, look at the vehicles, and we have everybody. It's just not police, but it's everything from public works to animal control, other agencies, drone units from Jacksonville. It's a whole slew of things. So you can come in as adults and children. They love to see how all that stuff works, but we've had plenty of adults that love that stuff too. So you're there, you're meeting the officers, and you're meeting your fellow neighbors. Another one that we have that's coming up August 1st is National Night Out. That's another one in front of our station. It starts up at 5 p.m., goes for a couple hours, where you can meet your fellow residents, the officers, and just talk to them. It's a community outreach, and it's very popular. We are bringing back something that I'm actually proud of. One of our previous chiefs brought this to us. It's Not So Scary Halloween. Not sure if anybody went years ago. It did stop because of COVID, unfortunately, but we are now ramping that back up. So come out, it's kid-friendly, it's family-friendly, we decorate everything up, and you get to go through, and if your children are allowed to have candy, they'll get candy. So we offer several different training courses for citizens, civilian response to active shooter, first aid, CPR, and stop the bleed courses, just to name a few. And, you know, use some good practice in crime prevention. Lock your doors, don't leave your stuff out in the open to where somebody can just snatch it and grab and go. Make sure that you lock up your bikes. We see countless garage doors open at 3 in the morning. That's an easy target. Crime of opportunity, right? Report any issues to the department that you can. We have a program application. It's called SaferWatch. If you're not signed up for that, it's a great tool. Not only can you report stuff through SaferWatch, but it's great to know when something happens in Atlantic Beach, you're not wondering what's going on. Why are 17, we don't even have 17 officers here. So why are the 2 officers driving around in this specific area? We'll tell you, hey, no harm to the city, nothing really to affect you, but we are looking for somebody. Or avoid this area because we have a traffic crash that's locking up some of our roads. And other than that, be involved in your community. Be involved in committees that we have in the city, in respective cities. They are a great help. We just started up one for, it's called STOP, Safety, Traffic, and Parking. And we have a committee of citizens that are looking at some of the issues and giving their input to follow up with the commission to see if it's something they want to implement. With that, I'll turn it over. We do have a Citizens Police Academy as well. So we have that starting up on March.
Okay, guns, gangs, and drug activities in Atlantic Beach. In 2022, we took 32 guns off the street, and January 1 through June 30th of this year, we've so far taken 14 guns have been seized. Those are all either illegally possessed or of evidentiary value used in a crime. Gangs, again, luckily we don't see a lot of gangs at the beaches. We have different waves of graffiti tagging, people who paint things. There's been some of that going on this summer. Luckily, we don't have any gangs that are just prevalent right here in Atlantic Beach. As far as drugs go, that's something that's always going to be around. We try to keep up with it. We're usually one step behind, keeping up with the latest drug trends, what people are doing. But fentanyl, as you read about in all of the media, fentanyl is obviously the biggest problem we've got going on right now. They're putting it in cocaine and pressed pills and marijuana. They're really using it a lot. Drug users want to buy it because it makes their high better and bigger. However, it's unknown how much is actually in there, and it's killing a lot of people. Some statistics I got from JFR, and these were just for our zip code 32233, so that does encompass the Mayport area as well. In 2022, they responded to 74 drug overdoses just in our zip code. Of those, 42 of them were Narcan. In 2023 to date, they have responded to 31 drug overdoses in Atlantic Beach, and 19 of those have been given Narcan.
No, I just wanted to let everybody know as well for Atlantic Beach hurricane preps. I think all three of our beaches are now prepped and ready to go. We hold our own tabletop exercises. All of our department heads, at least for our city of Atlantic Beach, are on board getting the training. So we are prepared for hurricane season, and we all work very well together when, so if not, hurricane comes through, we're all one voice. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. My name is Mike Key. I'm the interim police chief for Neptune Beach Police Department. I will clear up a couple things. Number one, we don't steal everyone. We just steal the best of the other agencies. Number two, I've been here 3 or 4 years now, and I've had the fortunate opportunity to present to this crowd. And every year, I follow Chief G. Paul Smith. And every year, Chief G. Paul Smith says he has the best police department, and he has the privilege and honor to lead the best police department. And I am here to tell you, with this Pulitzer Prize winning photo of Sergeant Gamby and Neptune Beach Elementary School students, I think we got you this time. So I started with this photo on purpose, and the reason I really did, I hate standing behind this, but I will because it's the mic. So it really embodies what we as the Neptune Beach Police Department try to do, right? We are different and uniquely platted, right? Differently than Jacksonville Beach and Atlantic Beach. We pride ourselves on being a bedroom community and catering to residents, and that's what we're going to do. And that right there is, it just can't speak louder than that right there. It's a fun party being held with an officer, and when you talk about trying to engage your community and starting at that young age, I genuinely can't see a better effort there. So I'll get off the soapbox here and we'll move on. We did redesign our patches just as a quick update before we move off that. That was something really fun. 1993, we engaged again with our community. David Hansford was a local artist who designed that patch. and it had not been updated since '93. And we're really proud of that. We updated some of the graphics, and we kind of kept it with what we previously had. So, all right, with that, I will say this. This is not what everybody also built this up to be. All right, so if you're fully expecting this this movie quality production, I'm here to tell you you will be disappointed. But I am big on pictures. I do believe of engagement with pictures as opposed to slides and just words. So with that, I'll try to jump in here. So successes and challenges. We'll jump into pictures first. Everybody likes the pictures. One of the first priorities of the police department is community engagement, as I said. And one of the ways we do that are engaging our citizens through different means of activities. So the Neptune Beach Police Department is either involved, hosts, or facilitates 21 different special events throughout the year. And for a police department with demographics made up of 23 sworn police officers and a total of 31 staff of civilians. And I see two. I just want to give a shout out. We have a dispatcher here, Dean, and then community service volunteer, Norman. Thank you both for coming in. These events cannot happen without folks like these two in the room and other amazing people. So the first one is highlighted. It's Cookies with a Cop. That was a really positive and interactive event where we partnered with Sinati's and engaged the children to basically decorate cookies. A little shout out there. At the bottom right is my son, so I had to throw him in there with the camera. My youngest one. So anyways, our agency, as Chief Smith mentioned, categorizes responses in total. So in 2022, we responded to 23,029 calls for service. That includes telephone calls to the police department and/or officer-initiated activity. So if an officer sees someone speeding and conducts a traffic stop, that is included in that. Just the same way as if someone calls 911 and is screaming for our help, that's included in that. For an agency with only 31 staff to handle over 23,000 calls is pretty astounding. That it shows how committed and dedicated the staff in the Neptune Beach Police Department truly is. It is no easy feat to do. A little over 1,100 written reports a year and around 3,600 citations. So continuing on with this success, I'm going to spend about 3 slides on this. I did not know Elaine was going to be here, but that's her smiling face down at the bottom center. If we're going from top to left, and I'm going to come around, we have a no empty stocking program over to the top right, where we deliver. Those are actually meals to down south, where the hurricane ravaged parts of Southwest Florida, and we deliver meals and school supplies to a local school. Moving over is delivery of meals to teachers at Neptune Beach Elementary School. This is something that it floored me. There are teachers who qualify for WIC cards, who qualify for government assistance because they can't afford Thanksgiving meals. And that right there may be a signal for society's priorities. Moving over is movies with the mayor. It's our opportunity to show a movie in the park. That was actually a throwback to Marshall Jarbo. A lot of y'all are familiar with who would show movies. That was where that brainchild come from. That was Star Wars. Moving over is Halloween Fall Festival. Moving over here is 2 of our officers with a special needs student at Neptune Beach Elementary. And then, of course, again, a Fall Festival photo. So again, I'm counting all of these as massive successes to just engage in our community and be one and have a voice and a direct conduit to our folks. Continuing on, last year we received not only our reaccreditation for the state of Florida, but also dispatch. Both the dispatch center and our police agency are accredited. What does that mean? In order to maintain the highest professionalism for a police department, you need to have standards. And just like everybody here, you would not want to attend a non-accredited college, or if you did and applied for an application, the person with the accredited college is probably going to beat you out It's kind of the same way with the police agencies. And as the other two agencies have said, maintaining the highest professionalism and service is the priority. And without the accreditation standards, we're not going to be able to do that. So moving on, I got a 5-minute warning. I guess I talked too much, so I'll speed up. You'll see in the center we hired also Tyler Deal. He was one that we put through the entire police academy. He left our agency. We realized it was so good he had to come back. Bottom right is Officer Carlson receiving an award from the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. So continue on with successes. Now we're kind of talking about challenges. So we've had a lot of ocean rescue issues, a lot of riptides, a lot of public safety announcements trying to educate the folks about what a riptide looks like. We cannot and will not, nor will any agency be able to immediately identify a riptide and close the beach in that area. It's not practical, it's not possible. So the best way to combat drownings, which are becoming more prolific in Florida, is education. So continue to try to do that. As Commander Cameron had mentioned, parking is a major issue. We just revitalized First Street with prohibited, non-prohibited areas. That was a challenge. If you're familiar with that in Neptune Beach, we fought at, and we believe we've got it corrected, and we're providing the most adequate and sufficient amounts of spots that we possibly can, while still maintaining public safety and legal spots. And then, of course, the flooding and what that promotes with public safety, right? So we're responding to that and trying to deal with that in conjunction with public works. So drugs, guns, and drug activity. We are proud to announce, just as of last week, we've implemented Narcan to every single employee in the Neptune Beach Police Department. And we did that through grants with no cost to any taxpayer money through the Department of Health grants. And that is something that is extremely difficult to do because you're adding another task to a job that's already very, very task heavy. And that was a concerted and very conscientious decision to do that based upon the fact of two factors. Number one, just because someone overdoses does not mean they deserve to die. And number two, an officer easily can accidentally become incapacitated by touching fentanyl. And all the police departments, the beaches, and the surrounding areas are dealing with that. And we're just trying our very best to implement safety measures and life-saving training. So not only all the police officers have Narcan on them at all times, we now have it in our police department. In the event somebody came in from the lobby, a dispatcher can run out, a records clerk can run out. It's riding on our lifeguard trucks now. It's everywhere. And it's benign, so it's a great resource to have in the event it got in someone's hands that doesn't need it, it won't hurt you, which is a great thing. So I won't read that, but of course, it's already been mentioned, close proximity to Jacksonville and all the dangers that they present with the violent portions of their community. We do have bleed over. Fortunately, we are lucky to experience a low crime rate, but they do still happen. It was mentioned before, the Neptune Beach Police Department took off 22 guns last year off the streets. Again, for a 23-man police department, that is a success, I believe so. Here's some of the highlights of just two of the cases. What we tried to do on our social media presence is start showing some of these people who are extremely violent criminals and conducting criminal activities at the beach and showing them on our Facebook page. If you commit the crime, you are going to also be plastered on social media about what you've been doing, violent, serious crime. All right, so July 4th, it is our most labor-intensive event we are faced with. I'll tell a quick story. I have 30 seconds on the race. I got a phone call from one of the commanders in Jack's Beach, said, "Hey Mike, are you guys okay on July 4th? And I said, "Yeah, we're good." He goes, "Everyone in Jack's Beach is going north on bicycles. Prepare yourself." So we were prepared. We had a significant amount of planning. As you can see in the bottom left, we engaged with a lot of stakeholders in the community and began implementing vehicle mitigation devices where somebody can't use a vehicle to injure or hurt someone on a bicycle. Here's some of our stats for the 4th of July weekend. It was, we can happily report that it was successful, slower than normal 4th of July, even though it was a large event. We are hiring as the other two beaches communities. As I also mentioned, we're down one police officer, thankfully. We're looking for communications officers as well as crossing guards. And because I'm out of time, I won't elaborate on that, but please join our team. If you don't, you'll join the other ones and then we'll see. And then mass shootings, just to cap off this, is we engaged with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and hosted a training course for mass shootings and opened that up. And the last thing, I know it wasn't on topic, but I do want to mention it, is, I will say our citizen support is amazing. I just will put it that way since I'm out of time. The last thing, it wasn't on the topic, but it's mental health. To go off topic here, we did just recently have a employee, a death from suicide, and it is my single biggest fear, other than an officer-involved shooting, is officer death by suicide or employee death by suicide. I guarantee you it haunts every police administrator, and they ask themselves constantly, what can I do to prevent anything? So I did put a list of just things that we are trying to proactively do. We're putting stickers in bathrooms and hiding pamphlets where people don't feel uncomfortable about going to find help, these kind of things. So I just wanted to touch on that because it is a very important topic that has a stigma in communities that they don't necessarily want to talk about. So with that, thank you. Sorry I went over.
I thought it was no class.
I forgot we had the timer here, the timekeeper. So we'll just ask our panelists to come up front. There's a microphone there. So if we have any questions, we're about 10 minutes from our end date, end time. So do we have any questions? In the back.
There's been some aggressive dogs on the beaches. Is that part of your jurisdiction?
Yeah, all of us, I'll let them answer, but we have 2 animal control officers, and they come to the beach for the 65 blocks we have. I would encourage you, it doesn't do good now, it doesn't do any good now, you have many calls, if you see an aggressive dog on the beach. We always get them 3 days later or 2 days later. Please call us, identify the dog, identify the location, and we'll get someone out there as quick as possible. I can't defend the beach, 60 blocks, and there's 2 animal officers, 24/7, and that's part of the challenge. What other service you want, but you have to call us.
Yeah, it's probably hard to add anything to that other than, Neptune Beach is not immune to that. We just recently had 2 violent animal attacks, and both those animals, it was the same animal during both those attacks. And we take that very seriously, not only professionally. I mean, I live in the community in Neptune Beach, and I have small children. I would never want anything like that to happen to anybody else's family. So to echo Chief Smith, if you see something, please immediately call us. All of our officers can immediately respond to that dangerous animal and do whatever needs to be done necessary.
Atlantic Beach is just the same. We have 2 full-time animal control officers. So 7 days a week we have an animal control officer on duty. They usually work 7 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. Just like they said, when you see something like that, you have to call right away because these are things that we can't go make an arrest on or write a citation for later unless there's a sworn affidavit that's submitted by someone who witnessed the offense.
On that, you don't want us to bother you just because there's a dog on the beach when they're not supposed to be there if they're not being aggressive, right? But if we don't stop them, then another dog comes out and then they become aggressive. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people who violate the time restrictions on Jack's Beach. It feels like tattletale to call.
Well, it depends what your priority is. That's pretty low in the response.
Yeah.
But you have to call us and we'll get them out there as soon as.
But are you saying call just if they're there when they're not supposed to be there? Or are you saying don't
Yes.
call until they bite someone?
You call if you see a violation. And
Yeah.
then we'll try to get them out there as quick as possible. Knowing that every call is prioritized.
It feels like such a waste of your time. But
I can't answer both. I can't answer both sides of that. Either you got to call us to give us a chance, it's not a waste, that's what we're there for. I can't promise you we're not gonna have a high priority call, but we gotta know about it. And right now at 8 o'clock at night, it doesn't do me any good to do anything about it, and we'll try to get someone out there. So that's all, that's the best I can do.
Thank you. Yes.
I just had a comment for Chief Smith. I was from Class 40, Citizens Police Academy. I remember you well. And I was at one of the meetings when you were installed as police chief. And you had said that I'm not going to put up with the crap that's going on in my town. We are going to be active and stop it. So congratulations, because you're doing it.
Thank you. Real quick, I just want to add one more thing to that. I say I have the very supportive council who lets me say crazy things like that. I have the best city manager in the country as far as I'm concerned. I have the best citizens who are completely supportive of us. And I have the best staff, the most talented staff, in my opinion, in the country. So I am the most fortunate chief in the country to have to be in Northeast Florida and be in Florida and people like that.
I did go to the city manager at one of those council meetings and said he was probably the best I've ever met. So you are right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jackie?
I wondered if affordable housing was a problem in your recruitment of police.
Yeah, I can speak on that at least a little bit. You know, the housing situation at the beach and in Jacksonville, and for that matter, Florida, is difficult. And we recruit and we hire out-of-state policemen. And unless they're coming from somewhere like a retired New York PD officer who has a good amount of pension to be able to put down into them, we're dealing with the recruitment part of that and then trying to deal with the benefit package of that. So when we talk about benefit, we're talking about maybe a take-home car, right? And where jurisdictional boundary used to be, say, Kerman Boulevard, now we're opening up to not only Duval County, but even maybe adjoining counties to have that type of benefit. And that's purely just trying to compete with other places, because to your point, if Neptune Beach police officer comes to work for us and their starting pay is what it is, they may live in Ocean Way and have to drive to the beach. And as the other two had mentioned, recruiting is just incredibly difficult. We have to be able to fill our ranks with people who are dedicated, who are filled with integrity, and committed to the mission.
I agree. I think we have 3 officers that actually live in our city, and they're all in apartments. I don't think any of them are homeowners. And the take-home cars are a big deal. It's one of the first things that applicants ask about. You know, do we get a take-home car? When do you get it? How far away can you live? And I don't know about the other 2 cities. We do have a restriction on how many miles, and it's 30 miles as the crow flies. So that takes you pretty far out into parts of Nassau County, St. John's, and Clay. But that is the first benefit they ask about. You know, it used to kind of bother me. They don't even ask about retirement or anything like that. They want to know about the take-home car. But the benefit to us is it's been proven that the cars are taken better care of when they're issued to one officer. You know, they have that sense of ownership in it. As well as, obviously, anytime you see a marked car driving around, it does help to prevent crimes. Or if an officer sees a crime, we all have mutual aid agreements and other, you know, if we see something, a felony crime, we can stop and work on that as well. So it does benefit the community.
Just real quick on recruiting, Florida has the best probably any state in the country, except for maybe Texas. We're in a very conservative, very law-and-order portion of Florida. So we have the best. I mean, there's departments, Asheville, North Carolina, they're 42% down. There's thousands of officers vacant in Chicago, LA, Seattle, Portland. Let's face it, they did that to themselves. But we have the best probably of all the other areas, and we're struggling. So I can't imagine what some of these other states and big cities are doing. They're just suffering. Nobody wants a job anymore, and so in a way, the other side didn't win.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Currently, how many Cape officers are there?
I have 11, but I have 2 vacant Cape positions because I have 4 vacancies total. So we can't fill those, so I get patrol filled, and so there's an issue. Just thank goodness I'm not 10 or 12 short. 30%, or some departments 30% down or
And a follow-up, the new gun laws, is that good? All of you spoke about how many guns you take it off the street. The new gun laws that have just been passed, is that going to affect that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you know, if you follow social media, you've probably seen a lot of PSAs going out, and we all have to remember the police enforce the law, they won't make it, right? And we're left with what legislators decide to do, or what the people decide to do too, whether we like it or not. So, a couple myths, right? Myths about the new law: you cannot open carry. That's been a pretty big myth that people believe that they can still do. And just because you can now legally conceal carry does not necessarily mean if you were prohibited from buying a firearm prior to, you still can't go buy that firearm and or conceal carry that firearm. So to answer the question, I think it's a little too early and premature to give a professional opinion on what that's going to do. But I do believe that there's going to be a period of time of education for the citizenry to make sure that they understand the laws for what's going on.
We've been requested to show the PSA and recruiting for Jack's Beach because the mayor is here.
We're trying to show us.
I don't know if it's a request or a mandate, but here, are there any other questions from the audience? This is about a 2-minute.
I just wanted to understand what CAPE officer means. And I didn't understand what that is.
It's a police acronym. It's just Community Assisted Policing Effort. It's 11 officers in our core downtown area, in our community redevelopment area. And all of us were having new innovative stuff. We've never made a recruit video before. We just had to do it to try to.
Right behind you.
I just have a question about the high-rise condos on Jack's Beach. Do you have access to the buildings to get in case of emergency?
Yes, we do, and we try to pay with our crime prevention people try to get there when they first start selling the condos. We get the knock boxes, we go to JFRB. They have keys to get in. They have it's called a knock box. But if there's any doubt, check with your building super or your president of your association. And then contact us, and we'll send an officer, a crime prevention officer.
If there's a call to unit 604.
They just call a regular number and ask for Sergeant Cater, the same person that's with the assistant police captain. We'll get someone to you or you can email us.
Okay, so are there any other questions? This is what, about 2 minutes? Yes.
In Atlantic Beach, do y'all have any programs for bicycle safety, especially in regard to the electric bikes?
So that's going to take about an hour to discuss that. Yes, I am in the process of getting information out through our city on e-bikes. They're treated basically just like bikes, they just go faster. Our first initiative is going to be in September, where we're going to go to the school and try to get with all the kids there and let them understand and educate about what they're riding, because we do have 5th graders riding e-bikes. There's no age limit, unfortunately. The law doesn't have an age limit. So we want to educate them and make sure that they understand and follow the rules of the road, whether you're riding a regular bike or an e-bike.
Really starts with the state legislator. I mean, they make these bikes, they say they're legal, and they say, okay, police departments, what are you going to do about it? What am I supposed to do about it if there's 100 out there and they're driving on the road? And that's what they're doing.
So we have a traffic safety team in Duval County, I believe it's District 2, Region 2, and we're part of, I know I've seen Jack's Beach and Neptune Beach on there as well, and we're all working with the region to come up with safety materials because the state's not doing that. Look how long it took to get golf cart safety materials out there. This is going to be just as long. So we're trying to work with, speed up that process in order to get some material out there. But as far as Atlantic Beach, we're going to have some material shortly on our social media and our websites and so forth.
In follow-up to that, what about underage golf cart drivers too? Because I see that all the time.
Yes, so same thing. In our city, we have no designated roads for golf carts unless they are transferred over to low-speed vehicles, which basically just means that they are street legal. They have to have a tag, they have to have headlights, brake lights, mirrors, and so forth. So they have to have a license. They have to drive with a registered tag, just like a vehicle. So when we see that, or if you see that, again, call us. so we can stop that vehicle when we see somebody that we recognize as somebody who may be underage. But they may have a license if they are 16. They are allowed to drive. It's like a car.
Last question in the back, if we were gonna watch this, because we're already past time, and I'd like to end on time. Sir?
Yeah, I just had another question, and it's related to the same topic. Is bicycle riding on sidewalks legal? And I've seen people with e-bikes on sidewalks, and they're blasting down the sidewalk.
Yes.
I've been on a sidewalk before and had an e-bike come up behind me, and literally we had to jump out of the way. There's no sound. They don't have any kind of my understanding was you're supposed to have some kind of a horn or a bell to signal for any bicycle, but nonetheless, they're on sidewalks. Is that legal?
Yeah, so they are legal. They are treated just like bicycles. They do have to give an audible sound when they're passing. Again, they just go faster. So yes, they abide by the exact same law that regular bicycles have to until legislation changes those laws.
Okay. Yeah, just press the button.
It's just like any technology, though, just real quick to add to that. It's any technology. Technology always advances fast in society. So just like your cell phone continuously, you got a year-old cell phone, that thing's 3 iterations too old, right? An e-bike in 6 months or a year, we don't know where those e-bikes are going to go in the technology, the speed, and the ability of them.
They don't fear how to.
Yeah, I was trying to stall, so I would stall.
Hey, Mr. Mayor,
All right, here we go.
you put sound to it?
Jackson.
Our strategic plan places a priority on public safety, and our administration values every employee. Come work for us.
The Jacksonville Beach City Council fully supports our police department. Come work for us.
If you want to work in a place where law and order is a priority, where you enjoy the support of the citizens, city council, city leadership, and police command staff, come work for us.
Good characteristics of a police officer are definitely someone that is selfless. And you have to be dedicated. Being a police officer means to me, you're a public servant. You go out there and you have to.
My favorite part about being a police officer is the community interaction. Whatever it is, whenever opportunity I have to interact with them, let them know that we are the good guys and we do want to help.
The citizens are very supportive as well. Every time I speak to a citizen, I take their case, they're usually very pleased that we're going on.
I wanted to work at a smaller department where I would be afforded the opportunities, where I wouldn't just be a number, that I would be a name.
At the end of the day, I feel like here, everybody's there for each other. When you work here, you're not just in control. You have to wear several hats. And I think that's actually really important, especially as far as advancing your career.
Your career growth and achievements really depend on the individual. The department provides you whatever you need to be successful here.
I've always had two buddies that have supported what I want to do or push me to do something else.
They provide me opportunities for advancement, provide me opportunities for training. We're always training within the department, always shooting, always something. We're always doing some sort of training. We're able to give everyone an opportunity somewhere to do something special.
Jacksonville has actually exceeded my expectation. When you come here, you're going to have an opportunity to do whatever you want very quickly.
If you want to come be a part of something fantastic, if you want to come make a difference, if you don't want to feel like you're a number on a computer screen, you should come work for us.
You can say about that, Keith.
Okay, autographs will be later. Well, let's have a big round of applause. And I always have to give the plug for the Citizens Police Academy. because I did, and you don't have to live in the city to go, to attend it. So I did Atlantic Beach because I live there, but I still want to do Jack's Beach, just to compare. No, I'm just kidding. But I know, I've already had the best. But actually, honestly, if you've not thought about attending the Citizens Police Academy, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. Anyone in the room has taken it. It gives you a totally different perspective on what our police officers do on every day. And I just tell you, it was really, really eye-opening and really made me appreciate you at even a higher level. So thank you very much for attending. Don't forget our August meeting. We'll meet our councilman at large. And one last request, if you're able, if you can help us stack the chairs since we are running a little past time, and help us get out here faster. Thank you.